Welcome everyone! Before we dive into our session, let's quickly outline what we can expect to gain from our time together. Today we'll be focusing on hazard identification and risk assessment, which is crucial components for maintaining a safe workplace. By the end of this course, you'll have a solid understanding of: first is the importance of hazard identification in risk assessment in ensuring workplace safety. Second is how to pinpoint hazards related to work processes, equipment, chemicals, and work practices. Third, recognizing and addressing the specific needs of vulnerable workers. Number 4 is acquiring practical skills to assess risk levels and determine suitable control measures. Number 5, we will grasp the concept of reasonably practicable and its application in controlling workplace risk. Number 6 is learning effective methods for documenting findings and maintaining comprehensive risk assessment records. And lastly, we will develop a strategy for regularly review and updating our risk assessments to uphold ongoing effectiveness. So get ready to equip yourself with the knowledge and skills necessary to create and maintain a safer work environment for all. Let's embark on this journey together. Alright learners, let's talk about why workplace safety matters. It's not just a box to check. It's absolutely crucial for everyone involved. Think about it. Workplace safety isn't just about following rules. It's about showing that we value each other's lives and well-being. When we prioritize safety, we're not just preventing accidents. We're creating an environment where people can thrive, leading to fewer sick days and more productivity. Plus, when our team feels safe, trust grows and that reputation spreads. It's not just about ticking boxes, it's about being a company people want to work for and do business with. So let's remember, safety isn't just a priority. It's everyone's responsibility. Let's keep each other safe out there. Legal requirements and responsibilities. Employer obligations. When it comes legal side of workplace safety, as employers, we have a duty, not just morally, but legally, to ensure the safety and health of our employees. Meeting legal requirements. This means that we need to pay attention to detail and make sure everything is done correctly. We're talking about conducting risk assessments, putting control measures in place, and making sure our team has the training they need to stay safe on the job. Employee responsibilities. But it's not all on us. Employees, you've got responsibilities too. That means following safety protocols and speaking up about hazards you see and taking care of each other on the job. To sum it up, safety isn't just a suggestion, it's the law. So let's make sure we're all doing our part to keep each other safe. Types of hazards. In this lesson, we will explore the various types of hazards encountered in the workplace, ranging from physical to psychosocial. Understanding these hazards is crucial for implementing effective risk assessment and minimizing potential harm to employees in the workplace. Let's start by discussing physical hazards. These are conditions or objects in the workplace that can cause harm without necessarily involving contact with harmful substances. Examples include machinery that may have moving parts, which can cause injuries if not properly guarded, or environmental factors like extreme temperatures that can lead to heat stress or cold-related illnesses. Noise and vibration are also physical hazards that can result in hearing loss or musculoskeletal disorders over time. And of course, slips, trips, and falls are common physical hazards that can occur due to wet or uneven surfaces, cluttered walkways, or inadequate lighting. Next, we have chemical hazards. These are substances that can cause harm to human health or the environment. They include toxic chemicals such as cleaning agents or industrial solvents, which can cause respiratory irritation, skin burns, or even more severe health effects with prolonged exposure. Flammable materials pose a risk of fire or explosion if not handled properly, while corrosive substances can cause damage upon contact with skin or eyes. Gases such as carbon monoxide or ammonia can be invisible threats that lead to asphyxiation or respiratory distress. Moving on to biological hazards. These are organisms or substances derived from living organisms that pose a threat to human health. In workplaces like hospitals, laboratories, or agricultural settings, employees may be exposed to bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, or allergens. For example, healthcare workers may encounter infectious diseases transmitted through contact with patients, while agricultural workers may be exposed to allergens from plants or animal waste. Now, let's talk about ergonomic hazards. These arise from the interaction between individuals and their work environment, equipment, or tasks. Poor ergonomic design can lead to musculoskeletal disorders such as back pain, neck strain, or carpal tunnel syndrome. Repetitive motions, awkward postures, and lifting heavy objects without proper training or equipment can all contribute to ergonomic hazards. Even factors like inadequate lighting or poorly designed workstations can strain the eyes and lead to discomfort or vision problems over time. Lastly, we have psychosocial hazards. These are factors in the workplace environment that affect employees' psychological well-being and mental health. Workplace stress, for example, can arise from high workloads, tight deadlines, or conflicts with colleagues or supervisors. Harassment, bullying, or discrimination can create a hostile work environment that takes a toll on employees' mental health. Long working hours, shift work, or job insecurity can also contribute to feelings of anxiety or depression among workers. Understanding and addressing these hazards is crucial for creating a safe and healthy work environment for all employees. By identifying and mitigating these risks, we can ensure the well-being and productivity of everyone in the workplace. Methods for identifying hazards. In this lecture, we'll explore a variety of effective methods, from proactive observation and employee reports to incident investigations and workplace inspections. Additionally, we'll highlight the importance of integrating product details such as safety data, sheets, and operation manuals into our hazard identification processes. Together, these methods form a comprehensive strategy to ensure a safer and healthier work environment for everyone involved. The first method for identifying hazards is observation. This involves actively looking around the workplace to identify any potential risks or dangers. Employees and managers can walk through work areas, noting any unsafe conditions or practices. Another valuable method is to encourage employees to report hazards they encounter during their work. Whether through formal reporting systems or informal discussions, employees play a crucial role in identifying risks they encounter firsthand. Then, accidents or near misses occur. Conducting thorough incident investigations can help uncover underlying hazards. By analyzing the root causes of incidents, organizations can identify systemic issues and implement preventive measures to mitigate future risks. Regular workplace inspections involve systematically examining all areas of the workplace for potential hazards. This proactive approach allows organizations to identify and address safety concerns before they lead to accidents or injuries. Review of safety data. Reviewing safety data such as injury records, near-miss reports, and industry-specific regulations can provide valuable insights into potential hazards. By analyzing trends and patterns, organizations can prioritize areas for improvement and allocate resources effectively. And lastly, incorporating product details such as safety, data, sheets, and operation manuals into hazard identification processes can enhance safety measures. These documents provide essential information about the proper handling, usage, and potential risks associated with specific materials or equipment. By thoroughly reviewing these documents, employees and managers can identify potential hazards related to the use of products within the workplace, ensuring that safety protocols are followed and risks are minimized. By utilizing a combination of these methods, organizations can create safer work environments for their employees and reduce the risk of accidents and injuries. Remember, hazard identification is an ongoing process that requires vigilance and collaboration from everyone in the workplace. Why reviewing of accident and ill health records? Reviewing accident and ill health records is essential not just for understanding past incidents, but also for identifying potential hazards within the workplace. These records offer a detailed repository of past incidents, allowing organizations to collect and analyze data to pinpoint areas of concern. Through thorough examination and root cause analysis, organizations can uncover underlying factors contributing to accidents and illnesses, thereby identifying potential hazards. Moreover, by identifying patterns or trends across incidents, organizations can proactively address risks and implement preventive measures to mitigate future occurrences. Leveraging this data for hazard identification fosters a proactive approach to workplace safety, enabling organizations to create safer work environments and protect employee well-being. Reviewing accident records isn't just about the past, it's about shaping a safer future. By analyzing incidents, we pinpoint potential hazards and proactively prevent future accidents, prioritizing the well-being of our workforce. Identifying vulnerable worker groups. What is vulnerable workers? When we talk about vulnerable workers, we're referring to those who face higher risks at work due to factors like age, health, or socioeconomic status. Recognizing these groups is super important because it helps us keep everyone safe in the workplace. For example, temporary, young, pregnant, migrant, and disabled workers all have specific needs that require special attention. By understanding their vulnerabilities, we can create a work environment that's inclusive and supportive for everyone. And here's where it ties into risk assessment. When we conduct risk assessments tailored to these vulnerable groups, we can pinpoint their unique risks and come up with targeted plans to keep them safe. This way, we're not just looking out for the general safety of the workplace, but we're also making sure that each individual worker gets the protection they need. Recognizing the unique vulnerabilities of worker groups such as temporary, young, pregnant, migrant, and disabled workers is essential for crafting tailored risk assessments and safety measures that prioritize inclusivity and individual well-being in the workplace. When it comes to risk assessment, it's all about making sure everyone stays safe in the workplace. One way to do this is by tailoring safety measures. This means providing targeted training, accommodations, and support for vulnerable groups so they can stay safe and comfortable while they work. Another important aspect is ensuring accessibility. This involves making sure that everyone can easily access workplaces and procedures, following disability rights laws, and offering language support as needed. Legal compliance is also crucial. By following anti-discrimination laws and safety regulations, we can protect the rights of vulnerable workers and avoid any legal issues. And let's not forget about connecting vulnerability considerations to risk assessments. By doing this, we can identify hazards more effectively and create personalized safety plans for all workers, making sure everyone feels safe and supported at work. Let's explore how involving employees in safety initiatives can bring numerous benefits to the workplace. Employee involvement plays a crucial role in fostering a strong safety culture. When every member of the team feels responsible for safety, it creates an environment where safety is prioritized by all. By involving employees in decision-making processes related to safety, they develop a sense of ownership over safety initiatives. This ownership leads to a greater commitment to adhering to safety protocols and actively participating in safety-related activities. Employees bring a wealth of insights and experiences to the table. Their diverse perspectives contribute to more comprehensive risk assessments and innovative safety solutions. By tapping into this collective knowledge, organizations can identify and address potential hazards more effectively. Involving employees in safety initiatives has a positive impact on morale and motivation. When employees feel valued and included in safety-related decisions, it boosts their morale and fosters a sense of belonging. This, in turn, leads to higher levels of motivation, resulting in increased productivity and job satisfaction across the organization. In summary, employee involvement in safety initiatives is key to creating a safer and more productive workplace. By fostering a strong safety culture, increasing ownership, leveraging diverse perspectives, and boosting morale and motivation, organizations can achieve their safety goals and enhance overall well-being. strategies for effective communication and participation. Let's explore some practical strategies to get employees more involved in safety initiatives. Encourage an open door policy where employees feel comfortable sharing safety concerns and suggestions, promoting open communication and ensuring that safety issues are addressed promptly. Hold regular safety meetings to discuss upcoming tasks, address concerns, and brainstorm solutions together, fostering collaboration and keeping everyone informed about safety procedures. Provide ongoing training and education to equip employees with the knowledge and skills needed to contribute effectively to safety initiatives, empowering them to take an active role in promoting safety in the workplace. Set up feedback mechanisms like suggestion boxes or online platforms to encourage continuous communication and participation, allowing employees to share feedback on safety practices and suggest improvements, fostering a culture of continuous improvement. Recognize and reward employees for their efforts in promoting safety, fostering a culture of appreciation and engagement, and motivating employees to actively participate in safety initiatives. In summary, by implementing these natural and inclusive strategies such as encouraging open communication, holding regular meetings, providing training, setting up feedback mechanisms, and recognizing contributions, we can create a safer and more collaborative workplace environment. Likelihood and severity of harm. Now that hazards are identified, let's assess their risk. This involves evaluating the likelihood and severity of potential incidents to prioritize safety efforts effectively. We must consider various factors to gauge likelihood, including historical data, current conditions, and control measures' effectiveness. Simultaneously, assessing potential severity involves envisioning outcomes for individuals, property, and the workplace. By analyzing both factors, we prioritize mitigation efforts, enhancing safety protocols, and minimizing harm. Determining the probability of harm is essential for understanding the potential risks associated with hazards in the workplace. This assessment involves evaluating the likelihood of an adverse event occurring due to a specific hazard, typically on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 represents low likelihood and 5 represents high likelihood. For instance, let's consider the example of a wet floor in a high-traffic area. The likelihood of someone slipping on this wet surface depends on several factors, including how frequently the area is cleaned, the number of people passing through, and the presence or absence of warning signs or barriers. If the area is cleaned sporadically and experiences heavy foot traffic without any warning signs, the likelihood of someone slipping would be rated as high, 5, due to the increased exposure and frequency of potential incidents. Similarly, when assessing the likelihood of harm associated with machinery or equipment, we need to consider factors such as the frequency of use, maintenance schedules, and the level of training provided to operators. For example, if a particular machine requires regular maintenance but is often used without proper servicing, the likelihood of equipment malfunction and resulting harm would be rated higher, 4 or 5, due to increased operational risks. For another example, let's consider the use of a ladder. When evaluating the risk of falling from a ladder, it's essential to assess factors like ladder stability, the condition of its rungs, the type of footwear worn, and the lighting levels in the area. Once all these factors are considered, you can rank the likelihood of a fall using a 3-point scale. Low, 1 if the event is unlikely due to stable ladder conditions, well-maintained rungs, appropriate footwear, and adequate lighting. Medium, 2 if there are minor stability issues or worn rungs but overall safety conditions are still present. High, 3 if the risk of the fall is likely, perhaps due to ladder instability, significant damage to the rungs, improper footwear, and poor lighting. This straightforward scale helps quickly assess the risks and implement necessary safety measures when using a ladder. Furthermore, in workplaces where hazardous substances are handled, the likelihood of exposure to harmful chemicals depends on factors such as storage practices, handling procedures, and the availability of personal protective equipment, PPE. For instance, if chemicals are stored improperly or PPE is not readily accessible to workers, the likelihood of exposure-related incidents would be elevated, increasing the overall risk of harm, rated 4 or 5. Once you've taken into account all pertinent factors, you can assess the likelihood by either devising your own ranking system or utilizing examples, such as a 5-point scale. You may also opt for a 1-3 scale depending on the complexity of your process or the scope of your evaluation. In summary, by assigning numerical ratings on a scale from 1 to 5 to assess the likelihood of harm associated with various hazards, we can effectively prioritize safety measures and mitigate potential risks to ensure a safer work environment for all employees. Shifting our focus to the severity of harm, we're examining how serious things could get if there's an accident due to a hazard. This means thinking about the impact on people, the company, and even the wider community. Let's explore a range of severity levels. Imagine a scenario where an employee falls from a significant height, resulting in a tragic loss of life. This event not only devastates the individual's family and colleagues, but also has profound legal and financial repercussions for the company. The severity of such an incident is rated as high 5 due to its irreparable consequences and potential liability issues. Now consider a situation where a major fire breaks out in the workplace, causing extensive damage to property, equipment, and critical company records. The fire not only poses immediate risk to employee safety, but also disrupts operations, resulting in significant financial losses and potential legal liabilities. Such a catastrophic event is also rated as high severity 5 due to its devastating impact on the company's assets and reputation. On the other end of the spectrum, let's consider a scenario where an employee sustains a minor injury from a sharp object, requiring basic first aid treatment. While the incident warrants attention and proper documentation, the injury is relatively minor and does not result in significant disruption to operations or long-term consequences. Therefore, its severity level is rated as low, 1. Similarly, picture a situation where a piece of equipment experiences a minor malfunction, leading to a temporary disruption in workflow. While the issue requires prompt attention and resolution, it does not result in any significant damage or injuries. The impact on operations is minimal, and the severity of the incident is rated as low, 1, due to its manageable nature. When you've considered all relevant factors, you can rank the severity by creating your own scale or using example to help you, such as a 5-point scale. Depending on the complexity of your process or scope, you can also opt for a scale from 1 to 3. By evaluating incidents across a spectrum of severity levels, organizations can prioritize resources and implement appropriate control measures to mitigate risks effectively. Once you have assessed the likelihood, severity, and determined its level, what are you going to do about it? Typically, the severity of the risk correlates with the need for action. Higher risk levels demand more immediate attention. To facilitate decision-making regarding the urgency of action, assigning an action level to each risk level can provide clarity. Utilizing the example provided, the risk matrix approach involves multiplying the assessed likelihood and severity of each risk to derive a risk score or level. This multiplication yields a total value that places the risk within a specific cell or category on the risk matrix. The risk matrix is a visual representation of the relationship between the likelihood and severity of risk. It typically consists of a grid with likelihood on one axis and severity on the other. Each cell within the grid corresponds to a different level of risk severity, ranging from low to high or critical. By aligning the calculated risk score with the corresponding cell on the matrix, organizations can quickly identify the appropriate risk level and corresponding action required. For instance, a risk falling into the high or critical category may demand immediate attention and rigorous mitigation efforts. The risk matrix approach provides a structured framework for risk assessment and decision making, enabling organizations to prioritize resources and responses based on the perceived severity of each risk. It helps streamline communication, facilitates consensus among stakeholders, and guides strategic risk management initiatives effectively. This method is widely utilized across industries due to its simplicity, versatility, and effectiveness in quantifying and evaluating risks. Determining who might be harmed and how, let's broaden our scope and consider who might be affected. It's not just about the employees, but also about everyone who steps into our workspace, from visitors checking in to contractors carrying out their tasks and maintenance personnel ensuring everything runs smoothly. And let's not forget about those who might need a bit more care and attention, like our pregnant colleagues or individuals with disabilities. Their safety is just as important, and we need to ensure we're looking out for them too. Now that we have identified who could be affected, let's dive into how these individuals might be harmed. This step is all about understanding the potential risks they face. It could be physical injuries like cuts or falls, which are more common in certain work environments. Let's illustrate some examples. Like workers in industrial settings, for instance, can suffer respiratory issues or skin irritation due to chemical exposure from cleaning agents or industrial solvents. In manufacturing plants, machinery malfunctions can lead to physical injuries like lacerations or even amputations for employees operating the equipment. In workplaces where floors are prone to spills or lack proper traction, such as kitchens or warehouses, the risk of slips and falls resulting in fractures is heightened. Electrical faults, common in settings with outdated wiring or faulty equipment, can pose grave dangers, potentially causing shocks or even fatalities for those in contact. Similarly, excessive noise from heavy machinery in construction sites or manufacturing facilities can lead to irreversible hearing damage for nearby workers. In hot environments like foundries or outdoor construction sites, employees are at risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion or heat stroke due to inadequate ventilation or hydration measures. Healthcare workers, especially those in hospitals or clinics, face the risk of infections from exposure to biological hazards like viruses or bacteria. Office workers spending prolonged hours at desks with poor ergonomic setups are susceptible to musculoskeletal disorders like carpal tunnel syndrome or lower back pain. For workers tasked with tasks at heights without proper fall protection, such as construction workers on scaffolding or roofers, the risk of severe injuries from falls is ever present. Lastly, exposure to hazardous substances like asbestos, commonly found in older buildings, can result in long-term health problems like lung cancer or mesothelioma for those exposed. These examples underscore the importance of identifying potential hazards and taking proactive measures to mitigate risks, ultimately safeguarding the health and well-being of all individuals in the workplace. In conclusion, recognizing who might be harmed and how is integral to effective risk assessment. By understanding potential risks and their impact on individuals, we can implement preventive measures to ensure workplace safety and well-being. Evaluating existing control measures. Let's explore how to assess the effectiveness of our existing control measures in ensuring workplace safety. Evaluating existing control measures. Various methods are employed to assess the effectiveness of control measures. Common approaches include inspections, audits, and surveys. Inspections involve systematic examination of equipment, processes, or facilities to identify potential hazards or areas for improvement. Audits are comprehensive assessments of safety procedures and practices to ensure compliance with regulations and standards. Feedback mechanisms. Feedback mechanisms play a crucial role in evaluating control measures. Gathering input from employees allows organizations to assess the real-world effectiveness of safety protocols. Employees can provide valuable insights into potential hazards, identify areas for improvement, and suggest innovative solutions. By fostering open communication channels, organizations can create a culture of safety and continuous improvement. Utilizing data-driven insights. Data-driven insights are essential for understanding the effectiveness of control measures. By collecting and analyzing relevant data, organizations can identify trends, patterns, and areas of concern. Utilizing metrics such as incident reports, near-miss data, and compliance records can provide valuable insights into the efficacy of safety protocols. Additionally, leveraging technology such as predictive analytics can help organizations proactively identify potential risks and implement preventive measures. So why is continuous improvement so crucial when it comes to safety practices? Well, think of it like this: our workplace is always evolving, and so are the risks that come with it. That's why regular evaluation is key. In addition, we need to determine whether our control measures are effectively reducing workplace risks. By constantly checking in on how well our safety practices are working, we can spot areas for improvement and make tweaks to keep everyone safe. But it's not just about maintaining the status quo. Nope, it's about adapting to changing hazards too. As new risks emerge, we need to be ready to adapt our control measures to address them head-on. Whether it's updating our training programs or investing in new safety equipment, staying flexible and proactive is key to maintaining a safe workplace environment. Consistently reviewing our control measures is pivotal for ensuring a safe workplace environment. This proactive approach not only mitigates risk effectively, but also cultivates a robust safety culture within our team. By prioritizing the evaluation and enhancement of our safety practices, we demonstrate our unwavering commitment to the well-being of every individual in our workplace. Hierarchy of controls. Today we're delving into a fundamental aspect of workplace safety, the hierarchy of controls. This framework guides us in selecting the most effective strategies to address hazards and minimize risks. This hierarchy comprises 5 levels, each offering a distinct approach to risk reduction. It's like having a toolbox with different tools for different jobs. You start with the most effective tool for the job and work your way down if needed. By following this hierarchy, organizations can systematically tackle hazards, ensuring that the most effective control measures are implemented first. It's all about prioritizing safety in a strategic and efficient way. So whether it's eliminating hazards altogether, substituting them with safer alternatives, implementing engineering controls, establishing administrative controls, or providing personal protective equipment, the hierarchy of controls guides us in making informed decisions to create a safer work environment for everyone. Now, let's break down each control measure to understand its significance and its application. At the top of the hierarchy is elimination, a strategy or control that stands out for its unparalleled effectiveness in ensuring workplace safety. By removing the hazard altogether, this approach eradicates the risk at its very source, leaving no room for potential harm. It's akin to cutting the problem off at the root, ensuring that employees are not exposed to the hazard in any capacity. Let's have some examples. Example 1. Installing automated systems to handle hazardous materials removes the need for manual handling, eliminating the risk of exposure. Example 2. Redesigning processes to eliminate the need for working at heights reduces the risk of falls and fall-related injuries. Example 3. Removing a defective machine from the production line entirely eliminates the risk of injuries associated with its malfunction. Example 4. Outsourcing certain high-risk tasks to specialized contractors who have the expertise and equipment to perform them safely removes the associated hazards from the workplace entirely, ensuring the safety of employees. Example 5. Switching to digital records instead of storing paper documents reduces the risk of fire hazards from combustible materials. If getting rid of the hazard completely isn't doable or practicable, then we move on to the next step, which is substitution. It's like swapping out the danger for something safer. Let's say we have a cleaning product that's really harsh on the skin. Instead of using that, we find a different product that does the job just as well but without the harmful effects. It's like saying, okay, this one's too risky, let's find something better. Substitution might not solve the problem entirely, but it definitely lowers the chances of someone getting hurt. It's all about finding a safer option when getting rid of the danger isn't an option. It aims to reduce the risk by using less harmful materials or methods. Examples are: 1. Switching from manual screwdrivers to power screwdrivers makes assembly faster and reduces the risk of repetitive strain injuries in workers' wrists. Example 2. Replacing traditional scaffolding with aerial work platforms or scissor lifts for working at heights enhances safety by providing stable and secure platforms for workers. Example 3. Replacing solvent-based adhesives with water-based adhesives in manufacturing processes decreases the risk of exposure to harmful volatile organic compounds. Example 4. Substituting disposable plastic utensils with biodegradable alternatives reduces environmental impact and decreases the risk of plastic pollution. Example 5. Choosing ergonomic office furniture and equipment instead of traditional ones reduces the risk of musculoskeletal disorders and improves comfort and productivity. When substitution isn't possible or practical, the next step in the hierarchy of controls is engineering controls. This approach involves making physical changes to the workplace or processes to minimize exposure to hazards. It's like rearranging things to create a safer environment for everyone. These changes are designed to address the hazard directly, rather than relying on workers to take precautions on their own. Engineering controls are effective because they don't rely on individual behavior or vigilance to keep workers safe. Instead, they create physical barriers or systems that automatically minimize exposure to hazards or isolate the hazard, making the job inherently safer. Let's explore some examples. Example 1. Placing barriers or guardrails around open edges of elevated platforms prevents falls from heights. Example 2. Implementing machine interlock systems prevents machinery from operating when guards are open, reducing the risk of accidents. Example 3. Using fume hoods or local exhaust ventilation systems in chemical laboratories captures and removes airborne contaminants, protecting workers from inhalation hazards. Example 4. Implementing two-hand control systems on equipment ensures that both hands are occupied during operation, preventing operators from reaching into hazardous areas and reducing the risk of injuries. Example 5. Using anti-glare screens on computer monitors reduces eye strain and fatigue among workers. When implementing engineering controls isn't feasible or sufficient, administrative controls step in to enhance workplace safety. Unlike engineering controls, which rely on physical changes to the workplace, administrative controls focus on modifying work practices or procedures to reduce exposure to hazards. It's like adjusting the way things are done to minimize risks. These controls establish guidelines and protocols that dictate how tasks are performed, aiming to decrease the duration, frequency, or intensity of exposure to hazards. Here are examples of administrative controls. Example 1. Job rotation schedules. Instead of workers doing the same task all day, they rotate between different tasks to reduce the risk of repetitive strain injuries. Example 2. Clear signage and procedures. Clear signs and protocols for hazardous tasks, like confined space entry, ensure workers are aware of risks and follow safe practices. Example 3. Training programs. Comprehensive training ensures all employees understand safety procedures, equipment operation, and emergency protocols. Example 4. Work scheduling. Careful scheduling of tasks minimizes risks, such as scheduling heavy outdoor work during cooler times to prevent heat-related illnesses. Example 5. Health screening procedures. Implementing health screening procedures, such as temperature checks and symptom assessments, before allowing employees to enter the workplace helps identify potentially ill individuals and prevents the spread of contagious illnesses, which happened during COVID times. And lastly, as the weakest but still a reliable control measure directly related to individuals, we have personal protective equipment, or PPE. It's like the final layer of protection, the last best option when all else fails. PPE encompasses equipment worn to minimize exposure to hazards, acting as a shield against potential risks. It's the gear individuals wear to safeguard themselves from injury or illness, when other control measures simply aren't possible or adequate. PPE is considered the last best option because, unlike engineering or administrative controls that can be implemented and enforced by employers, PPE relies heavily on individual compliance. Whether workers use PPE correctly and consistently can significantly impact its effectiveness. However, even with this reliance on human behavior, PPE remains a crucial safeguard in situations where hazards persist despite other control measures. Imagine a construction worker donning a hard hat, safety goggles, and steel-toed boots before entering a construction site, or a healthcare worker wearing gloves, a mask, and a gown when treating patients with contagious illnesses. In these scenarios, PPE serves as the last line of defense, providing a barrier between the worker and potential hazards. While PPE is essential for protecting workers, it's crucial to remember that it should never be the first line of defense. Instead, it should complement other control measures, such as engineering controls or administrative controls, to create a comprehensive safety strategy. To sum up, the hierarchy of controls gives us 5 ways to deal with workplace dangers. We start with elimination, substitution, where we get rid of or change the hazard. Then comes engineering controls, which physically keep workers away from the hazard. Then administrative controls, which is changing how we work to make it safer, and personal protective equipment, PPE, that directly shields workers. In conclusion, the hierarchy of controls provides a structured framework for addressing workplace hazards, with an emphasis on eliminating or minimizing risks at the source whenever possible. By following this hierarchy, organizations can effectively protect the health and safety of their workers and create safer work environments. However, it's important to recognize that a combination of controls may be necessary to adequately manage certain hazards, and regular evaluation and reassessment are crucial to ensure ongoing effectiveness. Factors to consider in determining practicability. Is it your first time to heard it? ALARP stands for as low as reasonably practicable, which embodies the principle of reasonably practicable, guiding risk assessment and management. It involves evaluating risks, considering effort, time, and cost for effective mitigation. This proactive approach anticipates hazards, prioritizes safety, and balances operational efficiency. ALARP is a beacon for achieving optimal risk management, ensuring safety while maximizing resources. Now let's delve deeper into the factors influencing what is deemed practicable. Several considerations come into play, such as the severity of the risk, the feasibility of control measures, and the potential harm if no action is taken. In some scenarios, the cost of implementing control measures may outweigh the potential harm of the risk, making it not reasonably practicable. For instance, replacing all machinery in a factory to eliminate noise hazards may prove financially impractical, highlighting the complexities of determining practicability. Now, let's revisit the roadworks scenario. As we've discussed before, the initial thought was to close the road. This would be the safest option because it removes the risk entirely. However, it's not really practical because it's expensive. Getting permission could take a long time. It would inconvenience road users and might make traffic worse on other roads. Another idea was to slow traffic down to less than 10 miles per hour. But since the work only lasts for a few days, this isn't a great option either because it would still inconvenience drivers and might cause more traffic. Drivers might not follow the slower speed limit, so the best choice is to use cones, set a speed limit, and make the lanes narrower to keep workers safe from traffic. It's not the cheapest option, but it's simpler than the others. After considering the time, money, and effort needed for each option, this third idea seems like the most practical one for this situation. How do we use ALARP in real life? Well, by thinking about what's reasonably doable, we let duty holders set goals without strict rules. But while this flexibility is good, it's not without its challenges. Figuring out if something is ALARP can be tough because it needs careful thinking from both duty holders and us. Usually we look at what's already working well, decided through talks with others, to see if it fits ALARP. But what about when things get complicated or risky? In those cases, we use fancy tools like cost-benefit analysis to help us make smart choices. How do we make sure we're being safe but also practical? That's where ALARP helps out, finding the sweet spot between being flexible and making sure we're keeping risks in check. In certain situations, particularly in high-risk industries or when dealing with new technologies that could have significant consequences, things aren't always clear-cut. In these cases, a more thorough examination is needed. The challenge arises because risk and sacrifice are often measured differently, making it akin to comparing apples and oranges. To address this, a formal cost-benefit analysis, CBA, can offer additional insight to aid in decision-making. In a CBA, both risk and sacrifice are translated into a common unit, money, allowing for direct comparison. We represent sacrifice as a cost and risk reduction as a benefit. The comparison involves evaluating the sacrifice cost against the risk reduction benefits. While a standard CBA typically requires benefits to outweigh costs for a measure to be adopted, ALARP judgments operate differently. Here, the measure must be adopted unless the sacrifice is grossly disproportionate to the risk. This means that costs can outweigh benefits, yet the measure may still be reasonably practicable to implement. The degree to which costs can outweigh benefits before being considered grossly disproportionate depends on various factors, including the magnitude of the initial risk. The greater the risk, the more leeway there is for disproportionality between cost and risk. In conclusion, ALARP, or as low as reasonably practicable, guides decision-making by prioritizing safety while considering operational efficiency and resource utilization, including cost, time, and effort. In real-life scenarios, stakeholders weigh the severity of risk, feasibility of control measures, and potential harm to determine practicality. Tools like cost-benefit analysis help in complex situations, ensuring risks are addressed effectively within acceptable cost, time, and effort constraints. ALARP requires implementation unless sacrifices grossly outweigh risks, striking a balance between safety and practicality within these constraints. Recording findings. Requirements for recording significant findings. Now we're emphasizing the necessity of recording significant findings in risk assessment. We all know that employers with 5 or more employees must adhere to legal requirements by documenting hazards, potential harm, and control measures. This comprehensive recording process ensures transparency and accountability in managing workplace risks. Recording should include hazards, potential harm, and control measures to effectively manage risks and ensure workplace safety. Let's quickly tackle those 3 important elements that should be evident in our risk assessment record. Hazards. These are things that could cause harm like slippery floors or dangerous chemicals. By writing down these hazards, we can figure out how to make the workplace safer. Potential harm. This means the possible injuries or problems that could happen because of the hazards. Knowing about potential harm helps us focus on what needs fixing to keep everyone safe. Control measures. These are the things we do to make hazards less dangerous, like putting up signs, giving safety training, or using protective gear. Writing down control measures helps us remember what we're doing to keep the workplace safe for everyone. In conclusion, these are the essential components that your risk assessment record must contain. Make sure these minimum requirements are fulfilled to prevent any legal repercussions or findings from inspectors or regulatory bodies. Using risk assessment templates and examples, now that you've completed the risk assessment, you'll need to record your significant findings. This could be electronically or as a paper copy. This is not only good practice, but it's a legal requirement if you employ 5 or more people. It doesn't matter what form you use to record your findings. It could be a risk assessment form that I will show and explain, or one of your own. What matters is that the information you record about the activity, for example, the hazard, people who might be affected, and how the potential harm, the risk level, and control measures is all there. Now let me show you some templates that you can utilize. Also, it will be available on the last part of this training course, along with some sample risk assessments. There are many different templates available for risk assessment on the internet and from other groups that you can use and download, and it's okay as long as they cover hazards, harm, and control measures. This sample here is from the Health and Safety Executive, which we could use to create our own risk assessment. Also, most companies already have templates or risk assessments available that you can use for your project or job. Let's look at another sample template. Here's a blank form that includes the initial risk rating and the risk rating after the control measures are inserted. This is what is called risk residue. Also, if you notice the second column labeled activity task, which means we can identify multiple hazards in a single task or activity and provide control measures for each. This way, we can easily identify tasks that involve high risk. In addition, some important details or information on the risk assessment records, such as department owner, activity date of the next revision, revision number, and reference number were included. This could help the organization easily find the documents and records they need, and having a risk assessment register could help monitor and ensure that the records are always up to date. Generally, it's beneficial to document the details of the person conducting the risk assessment, the date and time of the assessment, specifics about the location, people involved, equipment, and activity under assessment, identified hazards along with their corresponding risk levels, assessment of existing control measures and their effectiveness, scheduled review date for the assessment. Reviewing and updating risk assessments. Review your findings. Now, we're diving into the crucial task of reviewing and updating risk assessments to maintain workplace safety. Why is it important to regularly review our risk assessments? Regularly reviewing our risk assessments is crucial because it ensures that our safety measures remain effective and up to date in response to this changing dynamics of the workplace. By periodically reassessing potential hazards and evaluating the adequacy of control measures, we can proactively address new risks, meet regulatory requirements, and comply on the standards such as ISO, and foster a culture of continuous improvement in workplace safety. How often do you think we should review our risk assessments to ensure they stay relevant? The frequency of reviewing risk assessments depends on various factors such as the nature of our operations, regulatory requirements, and any significant changes in the workplace. However, a general guideline is to conduct reviews at least annually or more frequently if there are substantial changes in processes, equipment, personnel, or if new information about hazards emerges. Maintaining regular communication and feedback loops within the organization can help determine the optimal review frequency to ensure that risk assessments remain relevant and effective in managing workplace safety. In addition, ISO standards often mandate periodic review and update of risk assessments to ensure alignment with evolving best practices and regulatory requirements. Therefore, in addition to considering the nature of our operations and any significant changes in the workplace, adherence to ISO standards such as ISO 45001 for occupational health and safety management can provide specific guidance on review frequency. Typically, ISO standards recommend conducting reviews at least annually, although more frequent assessments may be necessary in response to significant changes or emerging risks. By integrating ISO compliance into our review process, we can ensure that our risk assessments not only meet regulatory standards, but also reflect the latest industry best practices, contributing to a safer and more resilient work environment. Can you think of any other triggers that might prompt a review of our risk assessments? For this question, I'd like you to pause the video and take a moment to write down on a piece of paper the factors that prompts a risk assessment to undergo review. Now, let's see if your answers are included on the given list. You've done a good job. In conclusion, it's evident that change is a constant in the workplace. From shifting work procedures to updates in equipment and personnel, our environment is ever evolving. This includes staying abreast of new information, such as updates on substances used in our operations. When these changes arise, it's imperative to review our risk assessments promptly. Regular reviews, ideally conducted annually or sooner, help ensure that our safety measures remain effective and aligned with current conditions. Even when risks seem minimal, continuous assessment is essential to maintain their low ratings. As we maneuver through these changing times, let's remember the insight of Peter Drucker. The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence itself, but to act with yesterday's logic. Power to identify and address potential risks. By embracing continuous improvement, we not only mitigate the risk of accidents and injuries, but also cultivate a workplace environment that prioritizes the health and safety of all. So let's embark on this ongoing journey of improvement together, ensuring that our workplaces evolve to become safer, healthier, and more resilient environments for everyone involved. As we bid farewell to this course, let's remember the words of safety advocate Paul O'Neill. The safety and well-being of our employees are our highest priorities because safety is not a slogan, it's a way of life. Let's carry this sentiment forward as we continue our journey in the workplace, always striving for excellence in safety practices. Thank you for your dedication and commitment to creating safer workplaces. Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors, and may safety always be at the forefront of everything you do. Farewell and stay safe. In addition, it's crucial to emphasize the importance of communicating risk assessments, as without this awareness among workers, they become mere paperwork stored away for audits in many companies. We must break this cycle and ensure that every individual is acquainted with the risk assessment process. As we conclude this course, I encourage you to share the valuable insights and knowledge gained here with others in your workplace and beyond. By spreading awareness and promoting a culture of safety, we can collectively make a positive impact on workplace environments everywhere. Let's empower others to prioritize safety and embrace continuous improvement. Together, we can create safer and healthier workplaces for everyone. Thank you for your taking my course, and remember to share this valuable course with others to help them learn and grow as well.